What was your life like before the Taliban?
That was so good. Like, that was the time I just feel free. I have my rights, and I had my voice, and that was the days we want. The way we independent, the way we work in the society. I just feel I'm in a nightmare, or maybe I woke up and again we will have these days. I really wish that days to came back.
Hi, welcome to About That. I'm Lauren Bird. I'm sitting in for Andrew Chang. That was Beheshta Arghand. She's an Afghan journalist who made history when, just days after the Taliban took over her country, she interviewed a senior official. Today, we're talking about the extremely challenging situation she left behind and the state of women's rights in Afghanistan. Things have steadily gotten worse for women since the Taliban returned to power. Several harsh restrictions have been imposed. Most recently, women were banned from university and told they were no longer allowed to work for non-governmental organizations. So NGOs such as Save the Children have had to suspend their female employees, and of course, they can't make any new hires. Afghan women's rights are quickly disappearing before their eyes. So, considering all of this, here's a question I have. Should we have seen this coming? When the Taliban returned to power in August 2021, after the chaotic US withdrawal, its leaders promised to take a more progressive stance in running the country. But did anyone really believe that? Because here we are, nearly 2 years later, and what I'm curious about now is what actual hope is there for women when they're being shut out from participating and essentially existing in public life? After the US military's chaotic withdrawal, the Taliban returned to power. During a wave of panic and mounting international pressure, they promised to uphold human rights, including those of women and girls, and freedom of the press.
Taliban fighters were sitting at the desk in the presidential palace. Afghanistan's army gave up without a fight.
Nearly a month later, the Taliban say women can only attend universities if the school entrances and classrooms are gender segregated. Then, in March 2022, the Taliban breaks their promise to reopen girls' secondary schools after months in limbo. Tens of thousands of teenagers are once again ordered to stay home.
Students filed home just an hour or so after having arrived. In private, Taliban members admit hardline elements within the group still find the idea of female education controversial, even though schools are already segregated.
In May 2022, the Taliban make it mandatory for women to fully cover themselves. Women are also banned from traveling between cities without an escort. In August, protests erupt. Women take to the streets chanting bread, work, and freedom. The Taliban retaliate by beating them. In December, the Taliban carry out their first public execution in western Farah province. The following day, 27 Afghans, including women, are flogged in central Parwan province for allegedly committing crimes such as theft and breaking social behavior rules. Later that month, women are completely barred from attending university, no exceptions. And on the 24th of December, the Taliban say women cannot work for non-governmental organizations, which in many cases are the only opportunity for employment, and orders foreign and local agencies to suspend the hiring of women. I wanted to find out more about what's been happening on the ground and what this means. So I spoke with someone who's been working to educate women in Afghanistan since the last time the Taliban took power in the late 90s. Lauren Oates, you're the Executive Director of Canadian Women for Women in Afghanistan. Thanks so much for speaking with us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So we've seen so many restrictions come in since the Taliban took power, and this is something that you've been warning about. Were you surprised to see it happen so quickly, though?
Yeah, I was surprised to see the speed at which it's happening. Actually, because it doesn't seem to be in the Taliban's best interest to take off the gloves this quickly and sort of show their true face. They've had this strategy of trying to portray themselves as somewhat more moderate, saying one thing publicly, doing other things within the country under their government, and kind of getting away with that. But this makes it harder to get away with that. It shows that their true intention is to go back to the way they ruled in the 1990s and all the restrictions that they had in place next. And I think what we're expecting to come next is that primary school, which is the last remaining kind of education that people can have access to, that girls can have access to, will probably also eventually be done away with. And even more restrictions are coming down the pipeline. So I think it will get worse before it gets better. At the same time, their plan didn't fully work. They announced this just days before Christmas here in Canada and other parts of the world. And so the reaction was perhaps quieter than it might have been. But, once things picked up again in January and everyone was back at work, there was a lot of coverage of the restrictions and attention to it. So they didn't fully get away with kind of, trying to pull a fast one where nobody noticed. There's quite a bit of outrage and reaction to what they're doing. And I think that that won't help them and won't help them consolidate their power as they're trying to do.
How has that outrage been playing out? Like, how are we seeing that really kind of manifest?
Back in the 1990s, when the Taliban ruled Afghanistan, this was really kind of a story for the back pages of the newspaper. It was not common knowledge to people what was going on. Several years into Taliban rule, we were still telling people, informing them what the situation was, that this group was in power and the edicts that they had imposed on women and how bad it was. People weren't hearing about this every day. So it's very, very different to today when it is common knowledge. And I think that's partly due to what else is happening in the world, including right next door to Afghanistan and Iran, and the movement there against the regime that's been very much led by women. And I think even, there's commonalities with the situation in Ukraine, where you have a fight for freedom against tyranny. But the difference is mostly actually due to Afghans and the fact that they're really pushing back and taking big risks and courageously opposing the restrictions through protest and using social media and all kinds of other ways. And so I think that's made a difference to the way the world is responding and the way governments are responding. That said, to me, it's still very unsatisfactory, the response that we're seeing from world leaders and governments, including our own, because they issue statements of condemnation and they say all the right things publicly, but the Taliban doesn't care about that.
And that's a lot of what you do, is go in and educate. Are you able to still do some of that work now?
We are still operating because the need is greater than it's ever been. A lot of the stuff that we were doing before was in some ways complementary. So what I mean by that was, if we developed an online course, teachers could take that course as something strengthening the more traditional education they were getting. They were going to teachers' college, for instance. Now, online education is it. That's the only education that people are getting. So it's really crucial to keep that lifeline open. And we've actually had to scale because more people need what we're doing now. So it's been a very, very busy time, but we're absolutely committed to staying and serving the people of Afghanistan.
Wow. Yeah, like meeting people where they're at with those needs. What do you think the future holds for women in Afghanistan?
I think that their courage isn't going to go away. They're going to keep protesting, and that includes, protesting by being vocal in the ways they've been doing out on the streets, on social media, but also protesting with their feet, leaving. And the country is being drained of its human capital, and the Taliban are already feeling the pinch. They can't find people to fill, technical positions and special positions in the government ministries because they fired all the women. And also because many of the men don't want to live in the kind of society that they're trying to build.
ما به عنوان استاد این امروز آوردیم به سطح ماستری و دکترا ماستری اینه کامرامینای دوستا بگیرن که استاد مشعل من می اسنادا را این اسنادای اصلی است امروز وقت خوانم نخوانه مادرم نخوانه درس من درس قبول ندارم من دروازه پنتون ای اسناد من اینه پاره میکنم اصلی را پاره میکنم
آقای مشعل حل
People are leaving in droves, and that is going to continue, and that's just going to decimate, the country's capacity to govern itself, its economy, and many other things. And so I think the pressure will be very intense on the Taliban from women, and women are using their voices. And they'll keep doing that, and that is making a difference. I'm seeing that influence making a difference to the powerful governments of the world and other world bodies that do have the power to do something in Afghanistan that will change the situation.
Wow. Okay. Well, we will be watching for sure. Lauren Oates, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
My name is Beheshta Arghand. I was a journalist. I work as a reporter for 2 years in Afghanistan in my back home, and then I was an anchor in one of the famous television in Afghanistan in Tulu News. When in 2021, 15 of August, Taliban took over the country. On that time I was an anchor and I work on media. I interviewed one of the person of the Taliban. He came in our media and I interviewed him.
لکه څنګه چې مخکې مو یو خبر درلود چې په هغه کې ښاغلي مولایي
چې د افغانستان
In the last night when I was on the live news broadcast, after that they told me like if you want to continue you must like accept what they want. But why I accept that one? After that I didn't accept. In the next day I just received the call to leave the country, and I came outside from Afghanistan by help of Malala Foundation. They took me with my family from Afghanistan and I came to Qatar, and after that I came to Albania, and now I'm here in Canada.
A lot of women are protesting. There are underground schools. When you see that happening, like what do you think? What's at stake for those women?
I really proud of Afghan women, and they really like showing to the world how much we are strong.
Beheshta Arghand, thank you so much for talking to us today.
It's a pleasure.
What do you think the future holds for women in Afghanistan?
Before even the Taliban came to Afghanistan, on that time we said like when they took over the country or if they came to the country, so we don't see any hope for the woman because we saw them like before like they came and what they did with the woman. But most of the time like they said no, they are changed and now they won't do that things with the woman like as they did before. But the time showed like they not change, and they did a lot of like bad things like from before like they did. Day by day we know like women like they just want to like remove women from the society. They want like no voice of women in the society, and they want like a society without women. And day by day we not just me, all knows we don't have any hope for the women in Afghanistan.
What would give you hope?
Nothing. I'm just like I don't have any hope. Like from that day they came to the country, from that day we knows like after that like we don't have any rights. The women like they really want a good society, but I don't have any hope with these people. Even like last night I talked with one of my friend. She told me a lot of things like, oh, now you can like start again and you can do these things. When I saw the girls, how much they crying, how much like they suffering from these situation, how I can have hope. they're really in a bad situation. I saw in every face of the woman, my mother, how my mother like have to leave the education, and now how women like leave the education. The history is coming like again and again, like it's repeating.
When you talk about history repeating itself and your mother, like, does your mother tell you anything from her having been through it before?
Yeah, like my mother leave her education because of a lot of things like happened in Afghanistan. She really loved that to be educated, and she is like from an educated family. I never imagined like to again woman like ban it from the school. I never imagined like again a woman like my mother should leave the university, leave the schools, and they are not able to go to school.
She sounds like a strong woman.
She is. I'm just like not just my mother. My mother maybe, and a small example of a woman, women of Afghanistan. All women in Afghanistan, they are brave and they are like really strong, and they did a lot for their children. Most of the mothers in Afghanistan, they don't have anything to eat, but they provide a lot of things for their children to be educated. I saw by myself a lot of women. My mother may be like a small example of them, but in the 40 million of people of Afghanistan, half of them women, and more than half of them women, and more of them like they want to be like have an educated child, but now they don't have this right to have educated children. Especially like they want to be like an educated girl. An educated girl can like, they knows now how an educated girl, how an independent girl can live in the society.
A lot of women are protesting. There are underground schools. When you see that happening, like what do you think? What's at stake for those women?
I really proud of Afghan women. I really proud of that. I'm an Afghan woman. I can call myself I'm an Afghan woman. And they really like showing to the world how much we are strong, and with the situation how much we're protesting. But it's take a lot of energy also. They really need to be support. They really need to be covered by all media from the outside of the Afghanistan, because in the Afghanistan most of the reporters, they cannot like report it from the protest or everything like they did over there.
You interviewed the Taliban. What do you remember about that day?
I can never like forget these days, because on that day I take a step for the Afghan woman. Because I'm an Afghan woman, I don't have a rights to go to my office, to have a job, and that job, like my dream job, that I did that much struggle. As a Pashtun girl, it's so difficult to be in a media, and I really struggle a lot for this position, to be an anchor and to be in the media and work for my people. I cannot like forget these days. I just took the step, and even my family told me, what are you doing? But I told to them, I don't care about that one, because if I not start, who will start for us? And I just want to show them like women can be the part of the society. But now what's happened, I wish this step helped women. And I really proud, like when my friends, they text me, we're really proud of you, because like we didn't know who will take the step to came to the media and who will take the step to came to the society. But you gave me a lot of power, and you give us like the power, like we can be go to outside, we can stand in front of them. I really proud that one. I think like this is just a thing like I did. It's a small thing I did for the Afghan woman. I proud of that, but I wish I did more for them.
You know, it sounds like you do have hope in women.
As a woman, like I have hope for this. Like we women, we can do like to show them like we are here. And but why I don't have hope? Because like day by day they're taking steps, but no one like stand. I saw, like I'm in Canada, I saw how like women, they are free, how much they are like have rights. We are also women, we are also human, we also have rights. You must stand with the woman. they're also women, and they really need the stand. They really need supports. If they stand with them, if they're really supportive them, no one can remove a woman from the society. All the words seeing who are quiet, all people they are seeing like with this trauma happening with the women of Afghanistan who are quiet. It's not just like I'm an organization of the women in Afghanistan. No, you must stand with them. You must protect them. If they came and protest, you must go with them in the society. At least if you cannot go with the society, you must share, you must publish a lot of things about them, and you must cover them. The Afghan women, they don't have that much support they need. They don't have that one.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Welcome back. So if you feel like this episode has been a lot to take in, you're not alone. Watching the rights of women in Afghanistan disappear it's heartbreaking. So when we take stock of what they've been through and really what's been taken away from them, it's hard to wrap your head around it, especially because, what are you supposed to do, right? Because I think a lot of us probably feel helpless in that sense. What can be done from here? What help can I be? And I think that feeling of helplessness can make us want to tune it out, not follow the headlines coming out of the country or follow every development. But, that's what we heard Beheshta say, is exactly what's needed. What's needed is people and organizations and governments to pay attention, to stand with the women of Afghanistan. And if that means making a point of reading what you can and sharing it or talking about it with your friends, then that's something. Thanks for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow.